$18,600. Can you believe someone lent me $18,600 worth of gear? Hey guys, how you going? What's going on? My name's Adam Dyson. Welcome back to another video. Today's a bit of a in-studio kind of sit down, and what I want to talk about is what I learnt with 2 weeks with the Fujifilm GFX. So first up, a massive shout out to Fujifilm Australia for lending me this camera. I had 2 weeks with it, which is mind-blowing. I think it's about $450 a day just for the camera. So to have it for 2 weeks is just ridiculous. I'm super grateful. So over the years working with a heap of different companies, I've had the chance to play around a fair bit with medium format. I've played around with Hasselblads and Phase 1s, and now the GFX, also a little bit of Pentax as well. So I have had my hands on medium format cameras before, but I've never really got to sit down and explore the possibilities with them, and that's what was mind-blowing about it. Like learning all the functions and how the resolution works, how the dynamic range works, and how certain depth of field issues worked as well was a really good experience. And overall, I think it's probably made me a little bit of a better photographer. Definitely more focused on details than I was before. You really can't get away with that much with this camera. So to have the chance to sit down with it for a good nearly 3 weeks and really explore the possibilities was really awesome. So super grateful for Fujifilm for lending it to me, and hopefully get the chance to get the 100 megapixel when it comes out. That'll be mind-blowing even more. So first up, and definitely the most important thing and the most surprising thing about this camera was the sensor. It is significantly larger than even a full frame sensor, and because of that you run into a handful of different issues when it comes to shooting. So first up, depth of field is completely different. So at f8 you won't get the whole scene in focus, and it's really hard to actually have the whole scene in focus, especially if you're focusing on the foreground like I do with most of my landscape photos. So the way that you can get around with that is that you can either shoot right up at f22 or f32 on some of the lenses, or you have to focus stack. And that's what I found myself doing a lot of the time. I found myself focus stacking all the way through the range just so I could get the entire scene in focus. I did try shooting some stuff at really high f-stops, but because the sensor is so large, you get the negative effect of diffraction really obviously. So what I found is that shooting at about f11 and focus stacking through the entire range, that's when I got the sharpest image, and that's when it looked the best, and I didn't get any diffraction at all. So that was the main thing I learnt about this camera, was that focus was really important. I think when it comes to crop sensor cameras, you can get away with murder. So if you were at f11 on your X-T2 or your X-T20 or now your X-T3, it's really easy to focus anywhere in the scene, and 90% of the time, unless you've got something really close to the camera, the entire scene will be in focus. So that's something that's really different about this camera, is the depth of field, and that's something that you needed to watch, because even if you're out a meter, even if you're out half a meter or even a quarter of a meter, you'll find that if you're out of focus, the entire scene will be out of focus and you'll really run into some issues. So slowing down and really focusing on the depth of field and focusing on your focus, you'll get really awesome images, but you can run into some really bad issues quite quickly. I definitely in no way, shape or form could be a lazy photographer if I own this camera full time. So going on about the sensor even more, sure, you can get the same amount of resolution in a 5DSR, in a D850 you can get something very similar, and the same in an A7R III. But the difference with this sensor is the way that it's structured. So because the sensor is so large, there's so much more detail within each pixel. So zooming into 100% looks absolutely amazing, but zooming in past that, you've still got detail in each pixel, and that's, I think, where medium format really strives. So moving on to usability, this camera feels amazing. I love it. It's absolutely awesome. It feels great in the hand. It's got a really substantial weight about it, and all the dials are actually placed really well for a larger format kind of camera. So I don't feel like I need to reach to get to any of the buttons, which is really, really good. I've found when I've been using Phase 1 and some of the Hasselblad cameras, because there's buttons on either side of the screen as well, you really have to reach from one side to the other to actually get to all the functions. As I said before, these cameras aren't really made to be super fast shooters. So for Fujifilm to be able to place the buttons in pretty much all finger reach, it's amazing. It's really good. It feels great. Another thing to mention too is because it is a bit bigger in the hand, it's heavier. And of course it's going to be heavier because medium format and it's got a lot more gear inside of it, a larger process to be able to process the images. But I definitely did notice the weight difference within my bag. So that's another thing to think about if you are considering a Fujifilm GFX is it's not as heavy as your Phase 1 and your Hasselblads, but it's definitely heavier than a traditional DSLR. So in saying what I did at the start of the video, yes, it made me slow down as a photographer, but I must say it felt like a really nice camera. It felt amazing to use. It was pretty responsive when it comes to autofocus. It was pretty responsive with storing the images. So it didn't really feel like I was using a medium format camera the whole time. In a way, it just felt like a larger traditional DSLR. Apart from depth of field, which is pretty much a user issue, yeah, it felt completely normal and natural to use. So the big question is, and the question that probably hundreds of people have asked me on Instagram, are you going to upgrade? And no, probably not. I'm really, really happy with the Fujifilm X series cameras. I love the weight, I love the way they work, I love the way they feel in the hand. So at the moment, as much as I would love something like this, I really can't afford it as much as I would like to. So no, at the moment I probably won't upgrade to a medium format. I think when the 100 megapixel comes out and when I make more money, maybe, I'll probably jump up to a 100 megapixel GFX. Maybe, but the problem is going to be there is that it's going to be more expensive than this GFX, and yeah, I don't really see the use for it all that much. As you know, if you do follow me everywhere on social media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, I always say that gear doesn't matter, and I still agree with that. It doesn't matter what camera you use. I think the best camera you use is the one that you've got on you. So whether that's your phone or a medium format camera, I don't think it really matters. So the only time it matters is when you're trying to do certain applications in photography. So for really, really large format prints, yes, it matters. You need a really high resolution camera like this. I don't print massive. The biggest I print is my 30 by 40 inch prints. I do print a little bit bigger every now and again, but as a whole, I don't print all that large. So something like this would be amazing and the prints would look really, really good, but not all that necessary for the work that I do at the moment. So that'll about do us for today. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, a massive shout out to Fujifilm Australia. Thank you so much for the camera. I had an absolute ball. What I might also do later on is a short editing video on how I edit a certain photo from the Fujifilm GFX and just show you the detail at 100 and 200 and 400%. So that's something to look forward to as well. If you haven't already, make sure you click that like button as well as subscribe. Click that bell notifications to get all my notifications for when I put out every video. Also, chuck a comment in the comments section about what videos you want to see next. Until next time, I'll catch you later.